The other day, I asked a Muslim therapist for some free advice on how not to go crazy with grief when looking at the scenes of war crimes against the people of Gaza and the unbelievable defense of a small but loud group supporting the racist ideology of Zionism. He said, emotions are actually good. They're supposed to spur us on towards action. He said clinical depression is actually when there's no more emotions left, just numbness. The good news is there's a feedback loop between our actions and our emotions. That means one way we can avoid getting depressed is action. Of course, this is a central principle of our deen and reason why we're on earth. We weren't put here for merely existing or philosophizing about things. We were put here for action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغير بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Whoever among you sees an evil, he must change it with his hand. If he is unable, then he must change it with his tongue. And if he is unable, the least he can do is change it with his heart. No Muslim has the luxury of being a bystander. The key is here, as the brother said, be in your sphere of influence more than you are in your sphere of concern. So here are 10 things you can do right now for our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Don't let these images or news bulletins or defenders and enablers of war crimes get you down. Stay tuned, because at the end I'm going to mention the key mindset to have during all of these actions to make your intention truly pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Number 1, dua. This isn't something that you do when you've run out of options. This is the first port of call, before, during and after all other means, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the musabbibul asbab, the one who makes causes lead to their results. He wants to see us attach our hearts and our pleas to Him alone, and then take the actions which He will cause to become effective, even if it's surprising. He told Musa alayhi salam, strike the sea with your staff. He told Maryam alayhi salam, shake the trunk of the palm tree. When you're attached to Him, all of your efforts will be multiplied. Be on the lookout for when du'as are more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and beseech Him then, in private, in public, when it rains, when you're on a journey, between the adhan and the iqamah, in sajda, on jum'ah, the list goes on. Remind yourselves of the etiquettes of dua that Allah loves. Raise your hands, look towards the sky, repeat yourself, praise Him, send salah upon the Prophet ﷺ. Mention Allah's names and attributes that are relevant to the plea. Check this out to learn more about Qunutul Nazila and get your local imams to perform this too. Number 2, lobby your local politicians and government departments. Outside of election season is where the real relationship building happens with your elected representatives. If you're in the UK, check out their work for you. Put your postcode in the box and get an easy way to send messages to your local politicians. Let them know how you feel and what you expect them to do and say. Anyone who works for an MP will tell you that they are very simple creatures. Generally, MPs are clueless about things outside of their expertise or talking points given to them, and they will be impacted consciously or unconsciously by receiving hundreds of letters and messages. We have the numbers on our side. You're not a minority if you're standing with the Palestinians and condemn the illegal occupiers. We can also send messages to ministers and the Foreign Office, which, although is going to be much harder to influence, is still something we can do from the perspective of talking truth to power and signaling to them directly the changing tides of public opinion as more and more information is becoming available about the oppression of the Palestinians. Number 3, we can ask public figures to issue a statement in support of those suffering. This has been shown to cause damage to oppressors all over the world, as can be seen in their disproportionate responses to some of these public figures. A footballer, an actor, an artist, whoever it may be. You can also join the chorus that have been sharing images of Gaza with captions supporting Israel. Absolutely clueless. Number 4, raise awareness yourself about what's going on. You have the ability to make the truth go viral. Every algorithmically controlled social media timeline takes feedback in real time based on your interactions with any piece of content. If you scroll past something quickly, it will take that into account when showing it to others. If you pause on it, interact with that piece of content, write a comment, click, share, etc., it will likely show that to more and more people. TikTok even applied in 2021 for recording facial and vocal cues, so it knows when you say, ordinary people like you and me can and have made the truth about the suffering of our Palestinian brothers and sisters too loud to ignore. Now the legacy media has to play catch up, which is why authoritarian governments all over the world are falling over themselves trying to regulate social media. So when you come across an important piece of information, chances are those algorithms are testing its engagement potential to see if it should show it to more and more people. So pause on it, engage with the post, comment, share, and so on. When you come across atrocity propaganda used to dehumanize Palestinians, I used to say ignore it and scroll past. But now, alhamdulillah, there are so many people under each piece of fake news diligently setting the record straight and providing sources that refute all of their nonsense that you can join in and interact with those posts too. We all know 99% of social media is nonsense or jokes, but when there is an atrocity going on, that 1% comes into swing, and we can literally help save lives by refuting dehumanizing propaganda. And don't think of it as being negative. Think of it as being engaged in an act of worship, making inkar of a munkar, forbidding or condemning an evil. This also includes following and signal boosting key activists, advocacy groups, honest journalists, academics, NGOs on the ground that are doing the hard work of reporting what is happening, sometimes at risk to their own lives. Number 5, send messages of support to our oppressed brothers and sisters. Never underestimate the power of moral support. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave moral support to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran when he was being attacked. Noon, wal qalami wa ma yasturun, ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bimajnun, wa inna laka la ajran ghayra mamnun, wa innaka la ala khuluqin azim. Noon, by the pen and what they inscribe, you are not, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by the favor of your Lord, a madman. And indeed, for you is a reward uninterrupted, and indeed you are of a great moral character. Send messages of support and solidarity online. Get your kids to make messages for the children of Gaza. Come out in these displays of solidarity. They don't have to be gigantic like those in London, 150 to 200,000 people, mashallah. It could be in your local area. One of the most poisonous traps of shaitan is when he tricks the oppressed into thinking their brothers and sisters have forsaken them. Fahad Ansari, the activist lawyer, once said that he grew disenchanted by protests when he was younger. What's the point of going out and waving a fist and the oppressor still continues his slow extermination of the Palestinians? But when he visited the Palestinians, they said that they were proud to see their brothers and sisters all over the world standing with them, and threw that in the faces of the illegal occupation forces. If your intention for showing up and being just one body in a mass of bodies, no personal fame, no material gain, is just to bring some moral support to your brothers and sisters, then that is good enough an intention for showing up. Let them know that Ummah hasn't forsaken them. Number 6, you can give charity easily. I've confirmed with 2 different charities that there are still stockpiles of aid and supplies in warehouses across Gaza, and that we can use registered charities to help send money to help them purchase things from their own localities and support their economies and local businesses. There are trucks of humanitarian aid waiting at the border with Egypt as well. So we must keep rebuilding and rebuilding, even if the Zionists keep demolishing and demolishing. This Ummah will keep pouring resources into its suffering limbs, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue to enrich us. Also donate towards media, advocacy and other non-humanitarian projects that help address the root causes of the dehumanization and the oppression of our brothers and sisters. Number 7, find out about and organize BDS action, boycott, divestment, sanction. People used to say, what's the point? But now no one can say that because the Zionists have fought tooth and nail to try to ban BDS all over the world because it's becoming so difficult for them. The other apartheid state fell partly due to it becoming a pariah on the international stage, with ordinary people boycotting their businesses, severing ties with their universities and so on. And the same goes for this one, the last remaining apartheid state and European colony in the Middle East. It used to be so complicated with those long lists of companies having to do some calculus at the supermarket. But Friends of Al-Aqsa have made it very simple and easy and focused down on 3 companies that are reportedly some of the worst offenders: Coca-Cola, Puma and Hewlett-Packard. Number 8. This is an important one. Write to media companies and journalists. The other day I was speaking to a Muslim journalist who works for one of the mainstream media outlets, and she had tears in her eyes. Just how hard she had to push day in, day out to resist the dehumanizing narrative. That is exhausting, but it's paying off. Proper and real diversity is good. Not the outward tokens, but actual diversity of thought and opinion. There are more and more journalists now in newsrooms having those battles, trying to stick their necks out to support the Palestinians. They need our support. We need to get into the habit of sending not just complaints when we see bad things, but also commendation when we see good things. When you see some good coverage, send positive comments and messages to reporters, journalists and editors of news publications. Say thank you. Encourage them to cover more truth. There are websites you can Google right now with lists of email addresses of all of the newspapers in the country. A few years ago, a journalist at the BBC did an amazing job covering my story when we took the government to court. She said they received loads of complaints from some people whenever they portray Muslims in a positive light. But where are the messages from the Muslims? Let's do our bit. Number 9, create the next generation of major change tomorrow, today. In one of the previous atrocities against the Palestinian people, one of my friends, a khatib, he asked Sheikh Dr. Uthman Latif, whose PhD was in the history of the Crusades, for a brief summary of the historical run-up to Salahuddin's liberation of Al-Quds, Jerusalem. He sent a 27-minute voice note, and at the end of it he said, "Sorry for the rushed summary." Salahuddin didn't come out of a vacuum. He was a product of decades, if not a century, of preparing the Muslim Ummah to liberate Palestine from the Crusaders for the benefit and access of all people. as will happen again inshallah. So don't sit around and wait for Salahuddin to come along. If it wasn't him, it would have been someone else, because the conditions were there for the ummah. Public readings of Fada'il al-Quds were carried out in public squares, re-educating the ummah about the virtues and centrality of this land to their identity, for example. Warring dynasties and states and factions were painstakingly brought together and unified. That 27-minute voice note showed a history very similar to our current present. When I was a child, we just knew about the Kaaba and maybe the iconic green dome of the Masjid al-Nabawi. That was on our books, our prayer mats, our pictures on our walls. My children, however, know about the third masjid, Masjid al-Aqsa, much more intimately than I did, alhamdulillah. We need to continue this revival in preparing the future generations to do things that we cannot. This is the nature of Muslims. We are a people who build people and civilizations for future generations to enjoy when we're gone. We're not the people who revel in flattening cities, destroying history, and mowing the lawn. And finally, number 10, be creative. There are things that I haven't mentioned because they haven't even been invented yet. Utilize creativity, innovation, and novel technologies to think up ways to resist and help our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and anywhere else in the world for that matter. You, some person listening to this video thousands of miles away from me, could think of an idea so out there and radical that's never been considered before, and it could have a huge impact by the permission of Allah. Gene Sharp, an expert on non-violent action, created a list of ways to get rid of a dictator, for example. Do you know how many they came up with? 207. This is a dynamic list. So share your ideas in the comments below so we can update future versions, inshallah. Now, if you made it this far in the video, you might remember that I'd share a key mindset to have when looking at and doing any of these 10 things. Do not ever say, what's the point? What's it going to achieve? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a story of a people who are asked the same thing. They enjoined the good, spoke out against an evil, but their brothers said to them, لِمَ تَعِظُونَ قَوْمًا اللَّهُ مُهْلِكُهُمْ أَوْ مُعَذِّبُهُمْ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. Why are you warning a people whom Allah will destroy or punish severely? Their reply should be inscribed upon our hearts. It was so beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He immortalized it for us to read and frame our activism today. قَالُوا مَعْذِرَةً إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ. They said, why are we doing this? So that we have an excuse before your Lord. وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. And maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll be conscious of Allah. Yes, we want the desired outcome, and we plan and strategize for that. But our primary concern is our standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hugely empowering and depression-busting fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not ask you and me, why didn't you liberate Palestine? Because that wasn't in our power to do. لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. What He may ask us though is, I gave you this, this and this ability. What did you do with that? When we exercise 100% of the things that we are able to do, then inshallah we can at least rest assured that we are carrying out our duty towards our brothers and sisters and Allah. And when we meet them, inshallah, by the mercy of Allah, in the hereafter, we will look back at these opportunities to catapult ourselves and each other into higher and higher levels of Jannah. Now we can appreciate this video to see people who have no firm values, morality or expectation of goodness in the hereafter express a fantastically hypocritical support for Israel, and why that's actually a good sign. Assalamu alaikum.